Hey there, welcome to the latest episode of the Sexy Thyroid Solution. I'm your host, Angela Brown. So today I want to talk all about signs you could be living with adrenal fatigue. But if you could do me a very big favor, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you could go ahead and subscribe to my channel and then hit the bell so you notification every time I release a new video. So let's go ahead and start talking about adrenal fatigue. So this is a term that I'm sure many of you have heard before. It's tossed around in a lot of different areas. You hear it all the time, especially when someone says they're tired or they're stressed. You are usually going to hear the word adrenal fatigue. So I wanted to give you some signs that there could be a connection to adrenal fatigue. Now, keep in mind that everyone is very different. Sometimes people will have adrenals that are in overdrive and they still could be struggling with some symptoms of adrenal, like so-called fatigue, or they could have just tapped out adrenals overall. So there's a lot of different ways that adrenals, when they get imbalanced, that they can present themselves. So when you have something where your adrenals are really underactive and they've really been taxed, typically these are the people that you can't hardly get out of bed in the morning. You are just extremely exhausted. You don't feel refreshed when you wake up in the morning. You're just tired all the time. You can't cope with like everyday stress. This is a really big one where the everyday normal stressors, you just cannot handle them. You feel extremely overwhelmed usually and just stressed out a lot. You might even have some depression. I see this quite often as well. You do everything you can typically to avoid conflict and just to like get through your day. Brain fog is typically very common with something like this, where your thinking is kind of fuzzy, slow, things like that. You might even have some cravings, and typically the cravings you get, salty things. Usually your adrenals need sodium when they get really slow. So a lot of times you'll crave salty. You might even crave sugary things, but typically salt cravings are very typical when the adrenals have gotten really slow. You might even crave like carbohydrates as well. That's another thing because you're just trying to really rev your body up because you don't have the energy. A lot of people will end up using caffeine. So a lot of times you'll see a lot of overuse of caffeine because you're just so tired and you're trying to do anything you can to give your energy back. And low blood pressure is really common. So if you ever get that where you're sitting down or laying down and you stand up, and when you come up, even if it's slow, but a lot of times when you come up quickly, you're like dizzy and you kind of get a little woozy. That's a really big sign of low blood pressure connected to the adrenals. Now, as far as if we think the adrenals are in overdrive because you're like in this fight or flight kind of stressed out state, typically people are where this is you're really in overdrive with your sleep. So you can't fall asleep at night or you can't stay asleep. Usually the adrenals are just being driven way too much. You're just always going. You're just always on the go and busy, kind of tired but wired feeling. Type A personality really comes into play with this. You kind of can be very short-tempered because, again, you're just kind of wired. So this will happen a lot. Panicky, even anxiety, things like that. You'll see this quite often. You actually get a lot of cravings more at night. Like you might have a lot of night cravings. You just want to eat a lot at night. This is another one. And then people typically will have a little bit higher blood pressure when it's this. So like I said, you could start out being in a state where the adrenals are just really fight or flight. They're just going, you're just in a big stressed out state. And then over time, your body's like, okay, this has been enough. And then you go into the underactive adrenal state. So kind of think about those things. The other factors to think about whenever the adrenals are being taxed, there is a connection to the thyroid. So a lot of times the adrenals will be affected if the thyroid is slow and vice versa. So if you keep getting stressed out all the time, it's going to add up over time that your adrenals can only take so much, and then your thyroid will get signaled to do the same thing. As far as if the adrenals keep getting tapped out, the thyroid will do the exact same thing. So just keep that in mind that you have to kind of address them together. So these are some really big signs that your adrenals might be very taxed right now and either very active or underactive. So let me know if you have questions with that, and definitely let me know if this resonates with you. I know there's a lot of people that this will resonate with. Comment below and let me know if this resonates with you, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.